taking a look here at, a bit of a different look on the format than we've seen in any other week.
Kind of split cost is a resource that I didn't truly respect until coming into this set.
We don't just want skilled players in the team. We're looking for people who also are active on their socials, who's willing to share their stories.
You're listening to Arcana Llama, your Lorcana competitive podcast, where we break down the meta so you don't have to. My name's Atlantine, and I'm joined by my co-host today, Lorcana Justice. Lorcana Justice, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Just, vibing with the new intro, seeing if it fits.
Yeah, I think it works. And then we can just jump straight in here to the meta breakdown. So this week we're looking at the set champs data from the last 2 weeks, which that also includes the DLC data that's available on Inkdex. This is just all reported decks for the last 2 week period. And taking a look here at, a bit of a different look on the format than we've seen in any other week. It's set champ season, and so people are bringing out decks that, don't really do well into a bigger room. You wouldn't take them to a DLC. We haven't seen numbers like this for, decks like Amber Sapphire or Emerald Steel really in this kind of turnout before. And so that produces some pretty interesting results. The general ordering on the list that people are taking hasn't really changed at all. Everything's still showing up in roughly the amount that you'd expect it to. And even when you look at the overall meta share, a lot of those rogue decks are still very rogue, right? Most of them are not even hitting 1% play rate. But it gets interesting where your average set champs room is not that big, right? Some set champs, I think they're often between 8 to sort of 16 players, sometimes doing just a 4 rounds into top 4. And that produces some really interesting results when you have smaller sample sizes. And these lower representation decks start to earn a number of spots in the top 8 at those events. And then they do some interesting things in the data. So they, to start with, they dilute all of the other top 8 shares from every other deck, right? If a deck is 0.03% into the meta at large, and then it has, just a handful of decks convert, well, you're seeing some of these decks gain 2 to 3 times representation between their entry and their top 8. And so with the small sample sizes there, it's important not to get too distracted by the noise. It's going to make every deck that's popularly played see a fall in top 8 share from where you would expect it to be. But that generally applies to all of them, especially the decks that are played more often. So it still shows us sort of an interesting trend in what is doing well and what is not. So some outliers here. Green-blue, super popular. It's just won the DLC. People are probably trying it out. But it is converting at a lower rate than Purple Steel or Blurple are. And so that's probably meaning that, people are not necessarily doing particularly well on that, or it's struggling into some of these more rogue decks that are more aggressive. Likewise, Dogs. No surprises there. Dogs is super difficult to play. It's probably tricky to pilot into some of these unknown decks where you're not really familiar with what they're doing. And so Dogs has, pretty abysmal conversion ratio in set champs generally. That makes sense to me. Real surprises here, right, are Blue Steel, Green Purple, and Yellow Purple. That last one, Yerple, not too surprising. That's a pretty good deck. It's got a super solid game plan, whether you're on Monster Combo or not. But Blue Steel and Green Purple are, performing a lot better relatively in a set champs environment than a lot of these other decks that are just sort of generally good into a DLC, right? I think Blue Steel is a great deck right now that can have a really good 4 rounds and 2 rounds of top cut, because you can just spike a 6-round event and have a really good day, right? Your draws can all line up well, everything can go great. But also, it deals well with a lot of rogue aggressive strategies. It has good tools to support that. So, maybe it's a decent pick if you're if you like the color combination and you're looking for something that just takes all comers for the set champs.
Yeah, well, so let's have a breakdown of the win rates between the different color identities. I kind of want to hone in there on Blue Steel because when I did my set champs in the first week this season, I played in like a 24-person tournament, and I would say half the room was on Blue Steel. Now, I don't know if that's just an outlier for my local metagame, but definitely in the Northwest UK, that seems to be the identity that most people are leaning towards Blue Steel. And you can kind of understand why when you're looking at like the Allies version of the list, right? So it has a somewhat 50-50 matchup with Blurple. And the only real outlier there of what it's bad against is Blue-Green, which we've already established is a pretty difficult deck to play. Like most people aren't Fungus and able to pilot it to win a DLC. So your average Joe isn't going to be able to take a few games off you, and they'll probably allow you to get over them, or you can even drop the one game because you're not likely to see it over the course of a set champs. But then you start looking at its other matchup spread, where we have it good into red-purple, we have it good into lantern variants of yellow-purple, all of these other type of rogue decks, and then even against purple-steel, it's still slightly favored. It seems like a really good pick from what I can see.
Yeah, I think of like the two ways you can play the deck here. Allies is definitely the better package overall. What you lose into green-blue, you more than make up for into the rest of the field. You can see the sort of overall win rate of ramp Blue Steel is like 46% versus 53 for Allies. And so it's a much tidier package. It addresses some of the consistency issues that the ramp deck can have, where it's just playing off the top more often, right? With the Shift Jazz and being able to find you more of your good allies to keep you going in the mid game. It's a little bit like classic green-blue versus detective green-blue.
So one of the things that we covered last week was that you kind of thought Purple Steel was a bit of a tier 2 deck. Now there's definitely going to be a lot of people that disagree with you, but the data here seems to suggest that you might be onto something because the matchup into blue-green, the matchup into Blurple is unfavored in both things, and then you're sitting around the 50-50 mark or even worse against some of these rogue decks. The only deck that you're slightly favored into here is the Dogs matchup, which, again, we've established that most people won't be bringing to a set chance because of the difficulty or complexity of the deck. Why would you would know more about this because you've done more tests this season. Obviously, Purple Steel is still the most represented deck from the conversion ratios we were looking at there. It was fielded but didn't convert as well. Why are people still bringing this to a tournament?
Purple Steel is... it's just everyone's old reliable. I think you want to play it if you just enjoy playing a sort of simple linear mid-range strategy, which is where I think the deck has actually suffered a lot in the sort of moving into set 11 meta. The deck has kind of lost its identity, I think, where Purple Steel was able to effectively get under green, blue, and blue, purple in set 9 meta, whereas now it's playing Hades, it's playing Demonas, it's playing a much higher curve, it's playing fewer 2-questers in the first part of its curve, and that just makes it it's like a Blurple deck that has strength now, and that's not what the deck needs to be doing to be beating all of the other things it's facing. It helps it win that dog matchup pretty reliably. It also has a good green-purple aggro matchup looking at the data here. And that is a deck that, like, if people are going to be bringing it to set champs, I would expect to see that spiking. And so, I think you play Purple Steel if you play Purple Steel, and you're kind of always happy to face everything. And the thing is, you're okay into everything. It's 51%, right? You have a moderate edge into the whole distribution of the meta, but for the most part, outside of green, blue is an outlier. 43% into Blurple and 47 into most things is a fine spot to be in. It's just not a great deck. It's an okay deck, right? It's a high tier 2 deck that's doing mostly fair things. When you start looking at some of the other numbers, right, you've got Blurple's pulling sort of 53% overall. It's really getting to benefit from that heavy Purple Steel representation. Same with green blue. Dogs looks a lot worse in the set champs data, but is a really high outlier in terms of overall win rate when you start to look at like higher MMR gameplay and broader periods of time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Are you planning on doing any set champs this week to finish off?
I have not looked to see if there's any local ones to me. I've been very busy with travel between the DLC and just getting back and readjusting to life. And so I thought when we were planning this, I was like, this is week 3 of set champs, right? And you're like, no, it's week 4. These are basically over.
It's done.
And
it's finished.
I have no idea if there's any events near me, if I'll be able to catch the tail end of any. I did get to play 2 while I was in the US before the DLC. So I also managed to win one of those. So I got to play that and the pressure's off, really.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking to see if there's any nearby. But what about you? Do you have 2 more events lined up?
So I haven't got any lined up, but I did manage to play 2 at the beginning of the season. So I played the 24-person tournament. That was in a geek retreat. That was really, really good fun. I ended up going against Purple Steel in the finals, and I should have actually admittedly lost that game. But my opponent made a kind of miscalculation where he ended up challenging one of my pieces when he should have quested out and didn't quite realize that he was the aggressor in that instance. So I managed to sneak the win, which was great. And then I did another set champs the week after where I went completely undefeated, and that's the list we've got in front of us. So that was a much smaller event. I think there's only 10 of us in that event, but I ended up going 2-0 in all of my games, which was nice. And so if anybody has seen my Blurple list before, this will come as no surprise to what I'm using. I tend to favor the aspects of They Never Come Back and Elsa 8 because I enjoy locking down the game. But a thing that might surprise you is that there's no Demona in this list. Why is there no Demona in this list? Well, it's because I couldn't find any. is the honest answer. I built the list and brought it to the third chance with what I had available. I decided to slot the Demona in favor of Ursula, and I was just trying her, and she overperformed. It turns out that if you have something that quests for 3 every turn and your opponent can't remove it, that's really powerful. Especially when you start factoring in these effects like They Never Come Back and Elsa just to keep your opponent frozen and just go, I don't need to challenge you, I'm just going to keep questing under you. Another card that I found that overperformed was Monstro. Because Fungus kind of explained this in his interview with us last week, that once you get the first Philip down and then you put the Prince John down, John Silver, you kind of lock the game from that point and there's not much recovery. And we've been seeing a lot of Blurple lists cutting out Monstro in favor of the Hades and those type of aspects, in favor of the Demona to quest out or exert your entire board and challenge. But I still think you need this high-end Monstro just to stabilize. I know personally there was 3 games of the 2 set champs where Monstro killed 4 things by itself and just completely re-established control onto my side, where my opponent was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So if you're taking Blurple into a set champs, I would definitely recommend experimenting with Monstro. I definitely recommend experimenting with Vanessa. Give my deck a go if you want. I've published all my decks for people to try. But yeah, it was definitely enjoyable.
Yep, that makes perfect sense to me. I think the Monstro gives you a tool into those green-blue matchups, which you are going to see in good numbers. It's also pretty decent into the mirror if you're on it and they're not. It cleans up the Hadeses. They play very nicely. It just helps you, stick another threat that they have to answer. And if you think about Blurple in set 9, it was a deck that was very comfortable with the amount of resources it had. It did not struggle for card draw. It was playing greedier tools like Second Star or Finders Keepers. But the Dumbo package and Genie are just, phenomenal all-rounders in terms of maintaining card advantage. But the big win, I think, is, Junior Woodchuck's Guidebook, in that you don't necessarily need to slot a bunch of Demonas into this list to have a consistent draw package. You have Friends now, except Friends costs you 2 and 1 separately, and instead of being singable, and that's phenomenal for a deck like this. And I'll tell you
how many times you just put Junior's Woodchuck Guidebook down, and then your opponent would have an opposing Clarabelle, and you're just like, that's fine. I'll wait until there's a turn where I pop these 3 guidebooks and draw 6 cards, and then have this explosive turn. The ability to kind of split costs is a resource that I didn't truly respect until coming into this set. Do you have anything else that you can? Because this was actually your suggestion that you gave to me.
Yep. That's really it, right? That if you think about some of the play patterns for Blurple and what does a good game, what does a bad game look like? Missing ramp is a critical failure point that you can do. But having other cards that cost 2 that are reasonable to play, along with, you know, some of the other new MVPs for this, Cheshire Cat, right? Blurple now into some matchups can just go, you know, I'll play a 1-drop, I'll play Guidebook that I saw instead of Ramp, and I'll play Cheshire Cat on turn 3. And then you can start doing stuff like, okay, you can go, you know, if you find Ramp, you can go Sail on turn 4, Ink, pop the Guidebook, and do the Cheshire Cat trigger, right? And so that's, you know, that's just phenomenal as like a mid-game catch-up opportunity.
Yeah.
But I also like the big commitment to 4 Iago in this list. I think Iago is really well positioned, and people just aren't respecting him.
Yeah, exactly. My experience is that most people, even in the Blurple matchup, they're only running 2, maybe 3 Hypnotic at most. Iago, just, you stick him down, and he's just so well statted at the moment that he can win games by himself if you get him down for a turn or 2. Yeah, I really enjoyed the list. If I was doing any more set champs, I definitely think I'd be taking this. The one Rafiki actually came up more than I thought it would, just for kind of throwing people's tempo off, because there's some things in there that have 3 willpower that, you know, you want to be able to take out in the first 2 turns. So I enjoyed that, but you could swap that in for the 4th Basil. But that's enough with that. I think what we'll do is we'll move to the Blue Steel list, because that is one that we saw in the conversion ratio that was actually doing surprisingly well. It had the best conversion ratio from the set champs data that we've looked at. Now, this is a list by David Fairweather. If anybody is familiar with that name, you would be, because he is the man that won the CCQ Wakefield in the UK. Now, I don't know anything about Blue Steel. This is very much a color combination that you enjoy. So I've got his list on the screen for you. Do you think you could break that down and try and make sense of why it's being so successful?
Yeah, so like I was talking about in the conversion data earlier, so this is Blue Steel Ramp, notably not Allies. It's playing for that 2-4-6 package, which when you know, it's playing a full lineup of Develop Your Brains and Mulans on 1 to try and guarantee you a turn 1 play to dig through your deck a little bit more. It really boosts your consistency in finding your ramp, which we are playing 9 copies of here. There's that one jump ahead hidden away down there. And then you're looking to go either into like a second piece of ramp, Cinderella, best case scenario. Kita's a bit slower, but has some specific advantages in this deck of letting you go like Kita, play a 5 cost like Namari or Pluto, while using her ability to ramp straight to 7, unlock, you know, Hades, Vincenzo, and Arthur, which is always a nice touch when you can find the space for him. Or you just play another ramp card, you know, your extra 1 jump, Tipo, or Sail, and then you can immediately start answering the board with your threats like the Spooky Sight, the Tinkerbell, if you're on the play and you have time to establish that board pressure. And then just do, you know, like a mid-game combination of strong character removal and all the Thunderbolts when you draw them. And then you've got the, you know, the Ink Runner to help you cover the evasive threats, and the Beyond the Horizon to give you some extra draw. We're not playing Docs here. We're not playing, we just have the Goliath, and then, you know, full lineup Visions and Develop. Really gives you the opportunity to dig through your deck to either find another Goliath or to find a Beyond the Horizon if you just need to get a little bit more juice.
Yeah. The uninkable count here is quite high, isn't it? So just from a quick check, it's 14, 16 uninkables by my count. That's quite a lot of uninkables in the current metagame. I know most decks now, since the rotation, have been using no more than 10. It seems to be the cutoff. Some decks are going as low as 4. Why does a deck like this get away with kind of being more greedy in that sense? Because over 25% of the deck is in that uninkability range.
Yep. So yeah, I think it's 17, which is an absurd number. I would never play a Blue Steel list in this day and age that had 17 uninkables again. That was pretty common when I started playing the game in like set 4. And at the time I hated it as well. We didn't have Cinderella at that point, and we did have Fishbone Quill. But you know, it lends itself to why you don't see ramp performing very well at DLCs and longer events, and why it probably overperforms in set championship environments. You can, you know, navigate 6 rounds on 17 uninkables. Maybe you brick 2 games in 1 match during Swiss, and then you sort of scrape by in the rest of your games, and then that's fine, right? A list like that is going to have a much higher ceiling in the trade-off for losing some of that consistency compared to something like the Allies version, which is going to be playing lower quality cards overall and less ramp, but probably playing a lot fewer uninkables, and you're going to have a lot less non-games where you just completely brick out. But, it works enough of the time, particularly in an environment like set champs, and it has great tools to sort of help you navigate a variety of different games, right? We've got the 1 of Pluto here, the 2 of Spooky Sight. I saw a lot of blue steel lists in Richmond that were playing like heavy amounts of these cards to try and improve with the dogs matchup particularly, but they also cover, most other aggressive and rogue things. The Pluto, phenomenal into the green-purple burn deck. You can start playing stuff like your Vincenzos and your Arthurs, destroy your opponent's items for playing the steel character, and then also gaining 2 lore every time you banish one of their questers with one of your steel characters. That's an incredibly powerful catch-up tool that lets you like come back from behind for having given up a few turns at the start of the game to like not really develop onto the board and to be ramping up a bit. So, this is a deck that has tools to really hit everything.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's say for the people that are going into the 4th week of set champs, they're wanting to get themselves that promo or they're wanting to get themselves that Extreme Mat. What deck do you think that you would take? But taking out your own personal biases, because I know that you've been enjoying dogs this season, what deck could a person take that you think they would get good results from?
So there's a couple of things that are really important to consider. Number 1, what are you comfortable playing? I don't think there's many decks on this list that you would want to jump into totally blind and with no experience on, right? So you always need to lean towards something that you've at least practiced a little bit or that you're familiar with. The second big thing is, what kind of room are you walking into? Set champs differ from something like a DLC in that most of the time, especially if you're playing in your local area, you probably know most of the people who are going to be in that room, and you probably know most of the decks they're going to be on. So if you're going to be into a room like you were, where you're walking into 50% of the room is on blue steel, taking a deck like Blurple that has a really great blue steel matchup, and if you're comfortable on the deck, is a very favorable choice, right? You boost your odds of winning that set champs massively. If you're going to play into a room that is, say, mostly Blurple, maybe a lot of like blue steel ramp, green purple aggro becomes an incredibly compelling choice, right? Even if there's going to be green blue in there, I think your average green blue player who's playing the deck post DLC and checking it out isn't really going to be familiar with some of the play patterns where you need to really prioritize holding your Clarabelle 1s to break the deck's items. And so you can just, you'll play 10-minute rounds all day. You'll have plenty of time for lunch between the rounds, and you'll just have an easier go of it than everybody else, right? If you're walking into a room that does not have purple steel in it at all, or dogs, right? That becomes a really great choice. Inversely, if you got a lot of dogs players locally to you, if you know that people are going to be playing green purple aggro, red purple, that's like the only scenario in which it's not a pretty terrible choice to bring into most rooms, right? If you're going to face those 2 decks specifically in numbers, red purple is like the best equipped to answer them into everything else. But really, for the most part, if you've been playing Blurple, if you've been playing purple steel, green blue, there's no reason to swap off any of these decks. I'd say if you want to try something more interesting, if you have the cards for either of the yellow purple variants together, that's probably one of the more interesting choices you can take. It's still super low representation, but it's a very solid deck. It performs well into everything except dogs, and dogs not being the most popular deck, not really too big of a thing you have to worry about. So if you're comfortable playing, most Amethyst mid-range decks without too many issues, you should try out the yellow-purple combination, probably have a really fun time of it. And that's a deck that, we haven't really touched on too many Winter Spell reveals, but we'll do that next week. There are some new cards that look like they're going to continue to make that a more dominant force into the meta. So I would not be sleeping on that. If you're looking for something different, you might catch some of your locals who aren't as clued in on new decks by surprise. Yerpal is a great way to go. Yeah,
I agree. I think yellow purple is an extremely strong deck, and I, for one, am going to be looking forward to testing it in the early sets, or the early weeks of next set, which is, I just
very
think
close now.
Very, very close. I just think it has a lot of tools that make sense, right? But the outlier there for me is Horseman Strikes, the ability to just take out any evasive and then replace itself. It just feels really, really powerful, and I don't think it's a difficult deck that people could just pick up because it's quite linear in the sense of if you've played any Amethyst deck, like you said, the lines are quite simple. You kind of want to just curve out and then use Lantern as an almost ramp-based effect to kind of cheat things out. The first set champs I actually played against somebody playing yellow purple. They had 4 lanterns out, and every turn they were drawing like 3 cards and like playing 1 for free and then another 2, and without things like be prepared in the game. It's just once you get to that point, there's no way to stabilize because it's just threat after threat after threat. But unlike something like Purple Steel, these aren't a Smee or a Hook. This is a Vanessa that's questing for free. This is a Hades and a Vanessa, or it's just insane. So yeah, definitely if you can have chance and you have the cards, give Yellow Purple a check. I think that would be my pick as well for kind of secret source to take to a set champs this week. We also saw in the conversion ratios that it did pretty well, so I'll get those up. Conversion ratios there was 1.24 going into the top cut, so yeah, definitely have a look. That is going to conclude our weekly segment. We do have an interview with Earlmeister coming up where we talk about the new rookie team that he's posted on his Twitter. Stick around if you're interested in that. Justice, do you want to say anything before we go?
Look forward, I guess, to that interview, and check in next week. We'll be talking Winter Spell reveals and prep for DLC Hong Kong, which will be the weekend after episode 3. So look forward to it.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And welcome back. So I am joined here today by Earlmeister, the general manager of the Rarehunters team. Earlmeister, hello.
Hello, how are you all doing?
So the reason we got you on today is because you put out a very interesting announcement on the 15th of this month, where you announced that your team was starting to hire new people into the rookies team. Could you give us an idea of why this initiative took place?
So one of the reasons why is, number one, we want to keep finding ultra megatonic players in general, and the thing is, you can only scout so much people because it takes a lot of effort doing that, and at the same time there's a lot of hidden gems out there that we haven't found yet, and it also gives the community a chance to showcase what they have, because maybe they're not as active in their socials, or they've never been discovered before, but they had so much to offer, and on top of that too, it's the perfect proving grounds for the Rarehunters Pro team, because of, number one, we don't just want skilled players in the team. We're looking for people who also are active on their socials, who's willing to share their stories, at the same time, who also have a great personality. And I'm not just talking about your content creator personality, but I'm also talking about like having good values and positivity in general. With a rookie team like this, we will be able to supervise and see how everyone is doing in the rookie team, and then from there, potentially in the future, we can upgrade them to the pro team when they're well-rounded as a pro player, not just on the competitive side, because in my opinion, there's a lot of amazing players out there. It's just a matter of time before they get their break in terms of top cutting or winning a DLC. But you also need to be out there. You need to expose yourself in the internet in a way where you're sharing content, you're sharing your decks, you're sharing your journey. We want people who are doing all of those to be members of the pro team, and the best way to do it is have a rookie team.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One of the things that a few people were asking around the local spaces when they saw the application go in. I know a lot of people put their applications in, but they were curious about how many slots you were looking for this rookie team. And also, while you're talking about that, do you have an idea of what the deadline might be for when you stop accepting applications?
I'm sorry, what's the second question?
So when you're taking the applications in, do you have a deadline at the minute for when that might stop, for when people can get their final applications in?
So there's no deadline for the applications. I think that once the team is announced, that's when the first wave, because we're gonna do it in waves. Once that is done, then we will close the application, and then we'll let people know, hey, applications are open again. Once some of the people from the rookie team gets promoted, and also there's a chance, and I hope not, fingers crossed, that someone might mess up, and hopefully they don't mess up once they're in the rookie team. So an event like that happens, the application will open, or we will already grab some or we will already have a list of people from the first set of applications that has so much potential, but they didn't get to make it in the team. So in terms of the numbers, we will be doing 2 waves. So at the moment, there's no exact number that we want, but we are going to start with most likely around 6. This is not the exact number. Again, it could be 5, it could be 7, but for the first wave, we're starting with 6, and then the second wave, another 6. Now, if things are working out smoothly and the staff members can handle everything that's going on, then we can possibly upgrade it to maybe 15 total. Maybe we'll add 3 more. But right now, we're not putting a cap on it because the possibilities are not endless, but there's just a lot of possibilities that can happen. And yeah, we're always flexible when it comes to this type of stuff. But the first, second wave is for sure gonna happen.
Really? So let's say that somebody did apply and they were successful. Do you have any idea what the responsibilities that they might be expected to take while they're on the rookie team? And also, what type of benefits would they get by joining the rookie team?
Yeah, so it's actually already all in the form, but I'll go through it right now to make it much clearer. So let's start with the responsibilities. So the responsibility is, number 1, being a team member, of course. You need to take part on if we need you for content, if we need you for testing, if we need you for any of that. And of course, we will communicate with you. We're not just going to say, hey, this is the day, you have to be there. If you're not, you're out. We don't do things like that. We understand that everyone else has a full-time job, or maybe they're a student, or a parent. Whatever the reason is, we're very understanding of that. So we ask everyone what is the most convenient date for them to do such activity, right? So being a team member is very, very important. Number 2, you need to start with your socials. Again, I said it earlier, it's very important for us that every single member have a social media reach. So whether you're just starting or you've already started, because it's not a requirement to be famous to join the rookie team or the pro team, but you need to have at least some foundation, or you are willing to start one. Because again, our goal is to share our story with the fans. We're trying to bring the esports vibe into, or the culture into, Lorcana first, and then eventually other TCGs in the future. You'll never know, so we never close that door. We want to bring that in, and that is basically like telling your story, sharing it with your fans. Whether you're victorious or whether you had a bad day, you have to share all of this, because a lot of people will be able to relate with both. Actually, there's more people that will relate when you're losing, because 99% of the room all the time in a tournament are people losing the tournament, right? Because there's only one winner, or sometimes there's top 16 or top 32 who wins, which is a small percentage of the room. Other than that, we want you to keep pushing as well with your skills and ability as a player. So you don't only improve when you are with the team. You have to make sure that you are doing your work as well as an individual. And this goes as well with the socials. You need to be a strong individual in order to be able to contribute to the team, and the team then will contribute to you as well. It's like a circle where we give to you, you give to us, we give to you, you give to us, because that is just fair. You also get a small financial support. I say small, but to some people this can be big. So it's 150 if you are going to a local DLC or within your region. So for example, if you are in EU, you're going to a European DLC, then you'll get 150 euros. And if you are in US, you're going to an NA DLC, you get 150 euros. Now, if you go international, you get 250 euros. And of course, with that, it will be discussed in your contract once you're ready to get in as well. You will get the same contract as every single member of the rookie team. There will be a cut. There will be a cut that we will take because it's just fair as well. Obviously, we spent a lot of time, effort, and money on this. That every time you win something, you will have to share the cut of that winning with the team, with the brand. And to be frankly honest with you, if you go into an international event and we gave you 250 euros, that before we can even like make money off of that, you need to be at least top 16 to even get something from it. If you top 32 or top 64, we're almost just breaking even from it. Well, yeah, actually top 32 we make a little profit, but top 64 it's break even, or maybe we still don't even break even. So the chances of us even making money off of this is quite low, because I understand it might go through some people's minds. It really is just an honest opportunity that we want to give people. We have other ways of monetizing, and that's not something that I would discuss with anyone, because I would get fired if I did, because that's private intellectual property of the brand. But yeah, so you get that support as well. On top of that, part of your duty is to represent the team the best way. So wearing the jersey, changing your RPH into RHS is our tag, tagging us in your socials, everything that someone who is sponsored or who is in the team needs to do in terms of reputation or representing the brand. But also, we want you to be able to represent us the best way possible in terms of image. Because for us, image is very important, because we're trying to inspire people. We want to inspire people in a positive way. So that is why, going back to what I said earlier, good values and positive vibe is really, really important for us. Now, another duty or another benefit that you can get from us is you also have access to our pro players. So whenever you need help or you need advice, and from time to time there will be a group meeting or a group activity where the pro players will get involved and help out every single member of the rookie team as well. So that, to me, that's probably, aside from the financial stuff, because that's pretty obvious. Obviously, some people need that because it can be quite expensive, but the access to the pro players is quite important, because of knowledge is the best resource there is in this career path. And that also includes the help with socials and content creation. We have me, first of all, who've proven myself as a content creator, and we have other group and members of the staff who are also willing to help with this part of your journey. But that's basically it. A lot of great benefits, but also a lot of duties that you need to do yourself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You briefly talked there about the pro team, and I know this isn't the focus of the initiative, but I know a lot of viewers are going to be looking at this and kind of trying to use it as a stepping stone to get into that pro team. One of the things I've seen is that you have almost like a point or a tier system that seems to be in the background. I don't know how much you finished on that at the minute. And one of the example is like, if you get to Worlds, then that immediately elevates you to be able to get into the chance to the pro team.
Have
do you know
a chance to go to the pro team?
Exactly.
It's not straight to the pro team.
Do you have that tier list kind of finalized at the moment, or are you still working on it? And do you have an idea of how hard somebody would have to work at that to be able to get into the pro team?
So the tier lists are pretty final already because we're using something similar that we're using for the pro team. The thing is that we are not publishing any of this because we don't want this system to be copied by others, or because we work so hard for every single part of this project. We work so hard for it. That's including the contract and all of that as well. But it's pretty similar to almost exactly like what we are using with the pro team. So when you get into the pro team, you start at tier 5, and then you go to tier 4, you get better benefits, tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, and from tier 1, if you become a superstar in Lorcana, then you can get a custom-made tier for yourself. What do you call this? A custom-made contract is what I'm trying to say there. It's the same for the rookie team. So you start off with 0. If you were qualified for continentals, then you get 150 right away. And when you participate in activities in the team, so for example, there's a team retreat or a team boot camp or anything team related thing that we do, whenever you participate on that, you get some points. There are other ways as well to get some points by contributing to the team if we ever need help. But if you don't think that you will be a master of that part, then you can just keep grinding as a competitive player, and then you get the points. So basically, if you can get 3 invitationals, then you jump to the pro team, because the 50 is quite easy to get if you are always active and participating on stuff in general.
Yeah.
And if you get the worlds, to get the 500 points right away. But we still need to interview you. We still need to do a lot of background check to make sure that it's safe for us to bring you in.
Yeah. There's it's nice to see though that the level of progression isn't just from the representation you have at DLCs, whether or not you make first or second or in the top cut. There's different aspects like doing the content creating or getting involved in the videos and stuff. So I know that there's a lot of people there will be reassured that there are other avenues that they can look at. In terms of this episode, we are coming to the end of it. We like to keep it short and sweet. So what I will do is I will open the floor up to you. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to get out there? Any shout outs to stuff that you want to finish the episode with?
All I can say is, number 1, good luck to everyone who's already signed up. The other thing is that if you haven't done it yet, do it. You will never know. There's really nothing to lose by signing up for this. And also, I'm not saying this because we gain anything from signing up. In fact, it makes my job harder if the more people that signs up. But I like to inspire others. I want to use myself as an example for this. When I got signed by the Rarehunters, I was a content creator. That's probably the biggest advantage that I have. But I was also a pretty good player. But the thing is that it's harder to pick up just what you label yourself as a good player if you don't have the accomplishments. I didn't have that. So don't let that stop you from signing up. I literally, my highest accomplishment from season 1 was top 128 from Birmingham. It wasn't even 128, it was like 132. I just had the same points as them to get the Let It Go. I bubbled out of 128, but it didn't stop me from exploring this opportunity, and I just went for it. And the next thing you know, I kept training hard. From the moment I got into the team, I trained hard, and I got lucky and placed top 8 in Singapore and got my continentals. So if you are in that spot right now where you don't have any big accomplishments in terms of DLCs, don't stop that, because that's not the only thing that we're looking at. Obviously, that is a bonus, right? That can help you get to the team, but that's not the only thing that we're looking at. So if you can sign up, you have nothing to lose. And yeah, also I wanted to mention that your points, like what you were saying with content creation, that it's nice that we have that. Your points will carry out to or carry on, carry out. English is my second language. I don't know what the proper term is, but you get the point. It will carry on to the next season. So if you have 300 points from season 2, then you start season 3 with 300 points, assuming that you're still in the team, that you didn't do anything to get yourself kicked out. Yeah. And also, I just want to shout out my team, of course, Rarehunters team, based in Austria. I want to shout out big shout out to the team owner, Alex. He made all of this possible. He's very passionate about this project. Also, my teammates and everyone who helps me grow every day as a player in general, and most of all the staff members of the team, because they are literally the foundation of how the day-to-day business stuff goes with the Rarehunters. And yeah, everyone who's a part of the project, big shout out to you all, and thank you for everything that you do. Other than that, everyone probably knows where to find me. Just Earlmeister anywhere. It's the same
what we'll do is, I think if it's okay with you, we'll get the Twitter links that you put the original format of. We'll embed that into the video so people can direct themselves directly from this video there. Hopefully loads of people give you applications, even if it is more work for you to do. I think it's a great opportunity. So yeah, I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. For everybody that's been listening, thank you so much. That does conclude our podcast. Let us know who you would like to be interviewed in future segments. But until then, we will wish you goodbye.